Hello, all my lovely friends. Welcome to Zusy Lei, where we are all practicing living a beautifully imperfect life. I hope you are doing well. We are here today to talk about whatever books I have read in the last 4 months since my last book video. It's been a while. Not all my books will be shown as usual. It's just going to be my physical copy. But at the end of the year, I will do a 2022 recap and show all books, physical and audio book, that I have read this year. So the first category today is read alouds. We read Circumference and the First Round Table by Cindy Neuschwander. The Circumference books are fantastic picture books all about math concepts, but told in story form. So as you can tell, this one is circumference, so it's about circles. And we've read it before, so several times, really, throughout her lifetime, Kaylin's lifetime. So it was fun that she pulled this out as like a familiar favorite. We Were Tired of Living in a House by Liesl Moak Scorpin. This is a really cute book about siblings who decide they want to try living somewhere else other than their house. So they go and they try all of these different locations, and the illustrations are really fun to look at. They're black and white. I would just show you this one. And the inside cover on the front, and then the back. We liked this book a lot. It was so cute. There's the back of the jacket. Understood Betsy by Dorothy Canfield Fisher. We have read this several times, both together and separately, so reading it again was nice. I don't know, I like when we can revisit books together, not just like on our own, but together, because the conversations become different. You get different insight, and you can share that with somebody else who has also already experienced the book and is also having these different insights and things. Understood Betsy is about a little girl who is raised by her aunt and her aunt's mother. When her aunt's mother gets sick, Betsy is sent to go live with some different relatives and ultimately ends up at the Putney farm, which is these relatives here. And it's a story about her growing up, her gaining confidence, self-awareness, thinking for herself, and so much more. It is an excellent book, and if you have children, then you should make it a read aloud. It's good on your own as well, but it's an excellent one as a read aloud. Next, I'm going to tell you about the books that I've read as part of the Unread Shelf challenge. This is they have multiple prompts this one is 1 prompt per month, but there is another one, like a bingo board, that you could do. They also have one that I think is like double prompts for every month. I can't remember. This is the one that at the beginning of the year felt doable for me, and turns out I probably could have done other ones, but I don't like to be locked into prompts too much, I have noticed. So having just one and having the limit of which type of book on my shelves can get chosen for these projects, not just unread, but like unread, I guess middle grade is what I would say. That's what I've been choosing for these. Except for the very first book in January. That wasn't middle grade, but that's okay. So, in June, the prompt was a book about a journey. I read The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill, and my daughter picked this one. She said, it's a journey about self-discovery, and there's some actual traveling too. So that is why I picked it. It is about a girl who, well, it is a town who believes that they need to sacrifice a baby to the witch in the woods. The witch in the woods comes across these babies and thinks that she's saving them by taking them and feeding them starlight and then taking them to cities on the other side of the woods and finding homes for them. She thinks that they're abandoned babies. This baby becomes the girl who drank the moon. So instead of starlight, it's moonlight, and it's about what happens because of that. And yes, it's a good read, and you should read it. July, a book set in a country or culture different than your own. My daughter really enjoys picking out these books now, so pretty much every month now she picks. She chose Marie Antoinette. This is part of the Royal Diaries collection. I don't know what else to call them, but she really liked this one, so that's why she chose it for me. And obviously it's about Marie Antoinette. It's in diary form, so it's as she wrote it, from before, I don't remember the time span, the years here, 1769. So it is before she is married and becomes Marie Antoinette. And it is, let me get to the end of this book and I will tell you. It goes through when she is married. 1771, so from 1769 to 1771. And then there's an epilogue that kind of lives out the rest of her life, so you still kind of get like this complete picture. August, a book chosen by your friends or family. So it was kind of anything goes for Kaylin. She chose this series, The Keeper of the Lost Cities. I had started reading it quite a while ago because she liked them so much, and I haven't finished them. I guess the series isn't even over yet, but they're still being written. But I haven't read everything that she has on her shelves. So I knew I had read part of this one. It turns out I had read all of this one, but I didn't know that. So I read about 100 pages of book 4, Never Seen. And then I went on and read Lodestar, which I think I had even started Lodestar because I remembered part of it. So this is book 5 in The Keeper of the Lost Cities. And The whole series is about a girl named Sophie who is raised as a human, but then discovers that she's not human at all. She's an elf. And I don't know how much more to say about this. She's not just an elf, but she's an engineered elf, which is why she had been raised by humans. I guess I can say that much. September, a book that represents the reader you want to be. This one was a hard one because I don't know how to define a reader that I want to be. I want to read good books and learn from them. So I feel like I probably could have picked any book, and ultimately I chose this one. It's called Just So Stories by Rudyard Kipling. And if you've not ever read this, this is written like a dad whose kid at bedtime is asking questions. You know how you get at bedtime when kids just all of a sudden have all of these questions and you're just ready to be done with the day? So this is totally dad stories answering those questions. So they're ridiculous because what do you do when you spin a bedtime tale with questions when you're like exasperated? And that's Just So Stories. This printing has these illustrations. It says something about the illustrations in here. Oh my goodness. Because there's color ones. The black and white illustrations are by the author, and the color illustrations are by J.M. Gleason. So here's both. You have the color and then black and white ones. These are by the author. What's fun about the ones that are by the author is that you have them, but then he writes you this description about them, and sometimes it gives information about the story that's not necessarily necessary to the story, but maybe a kid might want to say something about it, or it'll say something like, I didn't have enough space to make this have detail, or it would have looked better if I could put color in it, or that little smudge down here, that is this animal. They're very funny, and well, it's worth reading all of those little captions too. October, I just finished this book last night. It's called, the series is Star of Del Toro. The book is Shadow of the Master. It's by Emily Rhoda. This is the first book. I think there's 3 books in this series. I don't know, maybe it'll tell me. Nope, it doesn't tell me there. Okay, well, it is the first of, I think, 3 books. And for a modern book, it's not awful. This is probably the first book that I've read and I'm showing you guys that I kind of struggle as to what to say, because I like to say good things, but it's not badly written, but it's not fantastically written either. It's short, and probably for the age range of, I don't know, 9, 10, maybe 11, they would enjoy this story. I don't know if my 12-year-old would enjoy it. I think she would read it and not hate it, but she also wouldn't love it. Yeah. That's my feelings. It's kind of meh to me. So I just have 2 more months, November and December, and since it's only halfway through October, I have no idea what I'm going to read for those months yet at all. We'll see. These books, I'm just going to say that they're like daytime reads. That's its category. This one is Edgar Meyer's Bible storybook. It has both the Bible and the New Testament, the Old Testament and the New Testament within it. It has it's broken up into stories. Well, okay, hold on. There's a bigger division first. So, like, I think it's in 5 parts. Here, I'll show you. So you've got the Old Testament and the New Testament, and each one has parts. So part 1 is stories about the patriarchs, and then Moses, Joshua, and the judges of Israel, the 3 kings of united Israel, divided kingdom, and the Jews, and then the New Testament has Jesus and the apostles. And then within each part, they have them divided into stories, and so you have story and then a title and then what scripture it is pulling that story from. And each story is not very long. This one is 1, 2, 3, 4.5 pages, and it's got a picture, but some of them are only like 2 pages, but there's not too many that are longer than 4 pages. So this would be a really good read to, like, children. I liked its presentation in this book. I mostly liked it. There were a few things I didn't like about it, but they were kind of particular, like word choices or like viewpoint choices that were said. It would be easy enough to have a conversation about it if I were to read it to a child. I could make that choice as I read it, but that was kind of not very common for me to run into those things. The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. I know I'm not saying that right whatsoever. He's from the Netherlands, I've learned. And I think I've shown this on every book video so far. This is such a good book, and I highly, highly, highly recommend everybody read this. Whether you are somebody who has experienced trauma or somebody who knows somebody who has experienced trauma, or you are just a human being. Like, that's all the qualification I feel like you need in order to know more about how trauma, it's not just a mental thing, it is a thing that your body, all aspects of your body, your mind, your emotions, like everything, are involved in different and complex ways. And so it covers all of that, and it also covers approaches that can help treat trauma. And they don't all involve like therapy or things like that. You can do something like meditation or yoga, but it's not just a suggestion like, oh, do yoga. It's kind of like there's a whole chapter on how yoga can help somebody who's experiencing trauma. There's like a whole chapter on it, and when you have this understanding of how your body is being affected by the trauma, no matter how long ago, how complex or simple, I hesitate so bad to say simple when it comes to trauma, because if you've experienced trauma, you know that your reactions and the effects that you're left with aren't simple. Anyway, I highly recommend this book to everybody. The last category of books that I have read, I will say it's like my bedtime reading, my fiction reading. I mostly read them at bedtime or times when I was, mostly bedtime. Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. This was the first book. It had been a reread because I had read it before, but I am reading Brandon Sanderson in publication order. That's what I'm doing. And so I read Mistborn again. I moved on to I had started reading The Ultimate Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I talked about this in a previous video. This is Douglas Adams, and it contains like all the books. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books and one, like, I don't know if it's considered a novella, a short story, whatever it is, it's contained in here. And this glows in the dark. That's fun. I will say the first book, The Hitchhiker's Guide to My Galaxy, to the Galaxy, is fun to read. But as the series went on, it lost something for me. And yeah, I'm petting the book and I don't know why. Probably because I'm like, I feel sad for you. Like, I feel sad for you. It lost something for me as it went on. So this is kind of one of those, do I keep it or do I not keep it? It's a hard choice. I kind of want to keep it just for like nostalgia for my teenage years and for the memory of reading it as a teenager. The first book is the one I read as a teenager only. Of going to see the movie with my sister and our friends, taking our towels with us, like, that's nostalgia. Like, but do I need to keep this book that I don't think I ever want to read again just for that memory? Probably not. The answer is I have the shelf space, but do I really want that? Like, I feel like this drops the IQ of my library. It wasn't a good enough, enjoyable read for me. Okay, I'm going to stop now because somebody out there is going to see this who really likes The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and I'm sorry. Sunshine by Robin McKinley. This is my favorite vampire book. This is the only vampire book that I have read and liked. I don't read very many. Not at all. But this is the only one that I will read and reread. And every time I get to the end, I'm so sad because there is never ever going to be a sequel to Sunshine. Robin McKinley has said she is never writing a sequel. It just isn't going to be a thing. So Sunshine is a girl, and she is a baker and lives in a world in which they know of an other world, like were creatures and vampires and other dark others. She gets kidnapped by vampires and ends up chained. You can see on the cover, she ends up chained with a vampire who's also chained. And this is the story of of them, of Sunshine and Constance. I love this book. Robin McKinley is definitely a favorite author of mine. So when I want a reread, a comforting reread, I know I'm safe pulling out any Robin McKinley book. I don't think I've read one that I've disliked. My pile of books just fell over. So, you know, speaking of Robin McKinley books that I love, this is Beauty. So this obviously is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. A lot of people don't like this retelling because there's not a lot of Beast in it. But the title is Beauty. It's about her. It's not really about him. It's a good book. I think so anyway. I think it's a great book. There really isn't much to say about Beauty because you already know the story of Beauty and the Beast. Yeah. If you like fairy tale retellings and you don't mind that Beast is not, he's in here, but he's not the main character. Beauty is. That's what I'm gonna say. And then Robin McKinley, Spindles, and this is another fairy tale of Sleeping Beauty. And this one is a really fun retelling because it's pretty different. She ends up, Rosie, as she goes mostly by in this book, she ends up being raised by a pair of witches, one of whom didn't know she was a witch when she attended the princess's name day. And so she's raised by these witches, but the royal family is not magical at all. It's not meant to be magical at all, and that plays a huge part in all of this. Magic in general does, I guess. So it's about her growing up and eventually, you know, that typical Sleeping Beauty tale, like how do you overcome the evil? How do you know that it's there, you know that it's going to be very hard and it's going to be very, like, you don't know how to do it. That's this story. It's a good retelling of Sleeping Beauty. So those are the books that I've read in the last 4 months. Life has gotten really busy, so my time to read is really minimal. There are some other books I've read as part of homeschooling, but I didn't bring those up here for some reason. Probably because they're part of collections of stories. There's like 2 or 3 books in one binding. And so sometimes we just read one of those stories or one of those books instead of all the books in there. And I didn't think to bring them up, but there is that. So these are the books that I'm currently reading. That one's hard to see. 12 Rules of Life by Jordan Peterson. This one is it's a long, slow read. Partially because he gets science-y a little bit for me. I'm sure somebody else wouldn't find it very science-y. And by science-y, I think I mean like philosophically science-y. Are those things, is that a thing? Am I just making up words now? So when I'm reading, I tend to only read 3 or 4 pages at a time because I want to make sure that I understand what he's saying. So it's a slow read for me, and I don't read it every day or anything. But I'm on rule 7 out of 12, so there's that. It is a good book. It's a good book. It's just not one that I'm reading fast. And I think that's okay. I think it's good to have like a, what do they call it, a stiffer kind of book. One that you should read slower. One that challenges you in a good way, I guess. Not just in like the content of a story, but like to understand what is being said. I think it's good to have a book like that. This is Mother Culture by Karen Andriola, and Karen is a long time what's the word when you are like sharing of somebody else? Like, I don't know, but she likes Charlotte Mason, and she has done a lot over the years to share Charlotte Mason and her philosophy and understanding it with the, I guess, modern day community, really. And Mother Culture is a take on that. It can be read whether or not you homeschool, but it is about how you as a mother have culture. You are in charge of the atmosphere of your home and what you do for yourself personally, how you create your own culture within yourself has an effect on what happens outside of you. How you interact matters, and it's lovely. Her illustrations are found, she has a note in here. They are from Karen's personal collection of antique illustrations that she found over the years and has put in. Look at that. They're so lovely. Where's the number? So they are all over the book. That's what I'm reading. And then, since I just finished my fiction bedtime reading book last night, this is the one I have pulled out to read next. It is The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. This is book 2 of the Mistborn series. So I showed you Mistborn earlier in the movie. This is the second one. I have not read the second one. So from here on out, any Brandon Sanderson book is a new read. I've only ever read 2 of his ever. So brand new read right here. And I will start that tonight. Read aloud book with my daughter, and our read aloud time is not very much anymore. I used to read at bedtime, but now bedtime is pushed so late because she's got evening activities that means that we don't get home until 9 or later, and it's just a lot harder to read at bedtime now. So we're not really reading very much outside of our like homeschooling morning period. But when we do, it is a book called Mother Carries Chickens. It is part of this. You can see Understood Betsy, Mother Carries Chickens. So we're starting in the middle of the book to read Mother Carries Chickens. Mother Carries Chickens is the story that the movie Summer Magic was made off of. I know the movie. I've read half of the book before, but I never finished because I was reading it on, it was an e-format. It had to have been through my phone, I guess. It's been a long time, and I don't do very well reading on my phone. And so I didn't ever finish it, but we've started about it. And so far in the story, we're only like 2 chapters in. The mother has to go because the father is sick somewhere, so she has to go and see like what kind of sickness, like how they're going to move forward and to care for him. And the children are left at home with I think there has to be a couple of like a housekeeper or serving maids or something, I can't remember, a cook. But they're left at home. I think there's 4 of them. And that's as far of the story as we've gotten. I know that in a couple chapters or so, they will be moving to another house, like out in the country, and that's where the bulk of the story takes place. But that's our current read aloud. I hope you enjoyed this look into my reading life for the last 4 months, and I don't know when the next one will be. Like I said, my reading time has dropped off a lot, so I'm not finishing a lot of things, and I'm okay with that because over the course of the entire year I have read a whole lot. It's just important to me that I keep reading, that I read something every day, even if it's only a couple pages. Like, that's the kind of reader that I am and that I want to be, is that I'm just always reading something, and that I'm giving myself time to think about it, that I'm reading good things, that I'm giving myself a variety of things to read. So there you go. Let's chat in the comments if you have any book suggestions or have read any of these books or ones that I'm currently reading. Much love to you all. Happy October, my friends.